Give them like this. And at the very end, you can bless the food, give it to, then you want to bless it. Okay, I'll be down there.
Thank you, Reverend Joe.
Okay, very briefly, I get upset with our children when they seem to have enough resources to stand in line overnight waiting for the newest technology to come out. They seem to have time to camp out and indulge in different frivolous activities. But then when it comes to people in our history, such as Nelson Mandela, and sometimes even Dr. King and people that we talk about fairly often, our children do not have the history that they ought to have. Our school system, all right, you know that story. Our school system doesn't seem to give our children an in-depth education of history for their people that will encourage and enrich their lives. Education, in my opinion, unfortunately, has become a center of test scores, passing tests. It's just passing tests. And it doesn't give any kind of foundation, the artistic and the social foundation that children need as a way of being in the world. This is what Nelson Mandela taught us, a way of being in the world. So I try to encourage our children about edification through exposure, learning outside of the classroom. If our curriculum, if our teacher with all the different budget cuts and insufficient funds and taxing us to death to try to make up the difference, no child left behind, test score obsession, administrative and political disputes has undermined the intellectual, artistic, and social enrichment that gives a wholesome value to the educational experience. So we have to own our education. We have to teach our children about Nelson Mandela and all of our people in our beautiful history in Philadelphia and beyond. And I just wonder what kind of society would we have if our children saw adults engaged in thinking, engaged in reading, and conversing about their thoughts and their reading. If young children were a witness to that, where would we be? Easy to blame the school system, easy to blame the infrastructure. But where would our children be if we took ownership of that? I think Mandela may have taught us something about that. I think many people in our history may have taught us the importance of owning our history, of owning ourselves, of owning our spirit, and not letting anyone control who we are or the potential that we have, particularly in our young ones. Wouldn't it be fantastic if there were more young children here today and we could fill in the fragments that they missed because they weren't old enough, they weren't here yet, to enrich that history for them. Let's go back to the kitchen table. Let's go back to the table where we can share Mandela, where we can share our own history, where we can share Dr. King, where we can share everybody. When we had the movers and shakers of Lucian Blackwell, Alfonso Deal, when we had Dave Richardson, when we had people who made a difference, Dr. Ethel Allen, who made a difference in City Hall. Not care where the chips may fall. That's history that is in our time, that can give our children the power and the stamina that they need to make a difference for their own accord and not be at the mercy of the signature of the pink slip pen. So while we're celebrating Mandela, and it is wonderful, let us not go back to business as usual tomorrow morning. What are we going to do with the legacy he left behind? How does that apply to our lives today? How can we empower our children to love and be respectful of one another in the spirit of Nelson Mandela to make a better tomorrow? Those are just my brief thoughts. Thank you very much.
All right.